I think it's setting us up for Genesis chapter 6, because I want to show you what would I say, a human logic predicated upon retribution, what it looks like. And I think we're supposed to be frightened of Lamech's song. I want to teach you just a couple of quick things as well with regards to biblical poetry. It'll just be a brief lesson, but I think you'll see how it works. So, Song of Lamech. This is chapter 4, verse 23. And Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, O hearken my voice. You wives of Lamech, give ear to my speech. Let me just stop. That's just parallelism. Let me show you where the parallelism plays out. Adah and Zillah in the first line correspond with you wives of Lamech. It's just a repetition. One is specific, Adah and Zillah, and you wives of Lamech is the general. Hearken my voice is directly parallel with give ear to my speech. So hopefully you can see how that works. If you can, wait till you read the Psalms and all sorts of other logic that's going on. And I want to show you the second act of logic here based on this parallelism. For a man have I slain for my wound, a boy for my bruising. Let's just look at the parallelism. Except this time the parallelism, there's an intensification or an expansion. Watch. For a man have I slain. That line, have I slain, is the implied repetition in the second line. So we can extract that and we know the second one's going to be slain as well. So then what's the parallelism? For a man have I slain for my wound, second line, a boy, which corresponds to a man. Think about that. From a man to a boy means we've now, the intensification is actually a reduction in the years. We've gone from a grown man to simply a boy. And both have been slain by the logic of the poetry. So from a man to a man for my wound, a boy for my bruising. If you go from wound to bruising, wound is far more severe than what a bruising is. So now what you have Lamech telling us is that his killing has gotten even more intense. I went from a man for my wound that perhaps could be justified. But now he's gone from that to a boy for my bruising, and you're sitting there thinking, how do we stop this guy? Where does this end? And it turns out we should be really fearful. Because what does he say? And he's referring back to verse 15. For sevenfold Cain is avenged. Look at the phrasing there. Sevenfold Cain is avenged, and we know that's true, except he's put it in the passive voice. Sevenfold is Cain avenged. Well, we just simply have to ask, by whom is Cain avenged? Well, that comes from the language of God. What does God say? God says, therefore, whoever kills Cain shall suffer sevenfold vengeance. You see, Lamech has taken the language of God, and now he said, Cain is avenged sevenfold, which we assume is by God for the protection. At least that's the threat that God gives to him. Now here's the final line. And Lamech, 70 and 7. It's like, oh my goodness. What Lamech has done is he's put himself in the position of God, who put a mark on Cain to threaten sevenfold vengeance. Or the rabbis in the Masoretic, reading from the Masoretic text, they take it as for 7 generations even. They'll go from there. But notice what he's done. 70 and 7. Lamech has put himself in the place of God with regards to this justice by retribution. And that should give us great pause, because this entire time God's tried to put a stop to this stuff. And now Lamech is ready to just run with it, full steam ahead. So I think this is where the text is going. We're not going to go into the genealogies of chapter 5. Next time we're going to move directly into the flood of chapter 6. And I think the flood of chapter 6 is just an extension. We had creation, we had the transgression, we have the first murder, we have the Song of Lamech. We're about to get the sons of God coming to bed with the daughters of man, and we're going to get this off-breed of giants that's not a part of creation at all. We're slowly finding ourselves moving towards absolute chaos and destruction, which will eventually be met by the flood. So that's what we'll pick up on next time.